We are halfway through the month. Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday installment of Prime Time News. I'm Michael Madimba. Land matters lead the bulletin tonight. The Deputy Land Reform Executive Director, Penda Ithindi, revealed on Tuesday that not all 169 resolutions taken at the 2018 Land Endeavour form part of the draft land bill, as some have failed to pass the constitutional test, thereby coming into conflict with the supreme law of the land. Edward Mumbu Jr. compiled our lead report.
Currently, with the legal drafters, the land bill will go to the policy level, thereafter for input by government executives. It will then head to Parliament in September for input and possibly promulgation. Penda Ithindi, the Deputy Land Reform Executive Director, said, by and large, most resolutions from the second Land Conference form part of the draft bill, but not all of them, as some may infringe on the Constitution. He was responding to questions by this agency on Tuesday. Should Parliament find it necessary, the Ministry is more than willing to make a presentation on the draft law at a special parliamentary session. Back in 2018, the government organized the second National Land Conference, which adopted 169 land reform resolutions that emanated from 5 thematic areas. Among them was the issue of ancestral land claims and restitution. The conference resulted in the establishment of a commission on ancestral land. Reporting for Nampa News, I am Sawi Hausiko.
Still on land matters. The Land Reform Ministry says no additional piece of legislation is needed to address land-related matters in Namibia, as the current draft land bill holistically covers the issues. Again, Edward Mumbu Jr. compiled this insert.
The technocrats were responding to a petition brought by the Affirmative Repositioning AR movement to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources. The draft land bill will head to the National Assembly in September. It aims to consolidate the Agricultural Land Reform Act, Communal Land Act, and resolutions from the Second Land Conference. In 2019, AR tabled its Land Indigenization Bill, proposing barring foreign nationals from owning and regulating land ownership in Namibia. Penda Ithindi, the Deputy Executive in the Land and Agricultural Ministry, said government is currently seized with finalizing the land bill. He hastened to say that any law on land reform must be in line with the supreme law of the land. Delphine Deeper was the director responsible for land reform in the ministry, Pietrus Nangolo, who stressed the ministry is not in support of separate legislation, the AR bill. According to Nangolo, Namibians must partner with foreign nationals to address food security. Adding they cannot do everything by themselves, but the use of communal land must be strictly regulated, monitored, and strictly be on a lease basis.
Moving on. Education, Arts and Culture Minister Anna Ngibondoka says she is impressed with the outcomes of the countrywide national consultations on the future of education in Namibia. Isabel Bento, our Erongo region-based correspondent, filed the story.
Ngibondoka was speaking on Tuesday at the consolidation of the national consultations for the Transforming Education Summit and the Namibia National Education Conference in Swakopmund. According to Ngibondoka, the consultations, which ended last week in Oshana region, were productive, thought-provoking, exciting and motivating. She stated communities have demonstrated a deep and clear sense of ownership, and they know what they want in terms of how the education landscape should look like. Aiding Transforming Education Summit consultations therefore came at the right time, because they accorded the ministry a valuable opportunity to also contextually rethink and plan on how to transform the Namibian education system. The conference is slated for the 2nd to the 5th of August, with the aim to measure the progress made on the implementations of the recommendation of the 2011 National Conference on Education and the SDG 4 goals.
Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Carla Schleitwein, on Tuesday noted that investment in transboundary water projects in Africa remains very slow, thus hampering economic growth. Lydia Pitiri reports.
Speaking during a high-level event on lessons and perspectives on water cooperation for Africa and Europe, Schleitwein called upon governments to mainstream transboundary water cooperation and issues at stake at the 2023 UN Water Conference. He said at a time when Africa is recovering from severe negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and now faced with new challenges due to the war in Europe, they cannot afford further delays in their development agendas, let alone conflict about basic resources such as water. Adding Namibia as one of the countries that share transboundary water basins and has entered into bilateral and multilateral agreements to establish river basin commissions aimed at promoting joint management and sustainable development of the transboundary waters.
When we return, Bank of Namibia increases repo rate by 50 basis points. Primetime Bees make sense of all things business and economics and lead in the segment tonight. The Central Bank of Namibia Governor Johannes Gauchap this morning announced the decision by the Monetary Policy Committee to increase the repo rate by 50 basis points to 4.75%. Let's get some context.
The Monetary Policy Committee decided to increase the repo rate unanimously by 50 basis points to 4.75%. The decision was taken with due consideration of the persistent inflationary pressures and is deemed appropriate to safeguard the one-to-one link between the Namibia dollar and the South African rand while meeting the country's international financial obligations. Moreover, this monetary policy stance is necessary to narrow the current negative real policy interest rate that is conducive to long-term economic growth. This policy direction is consistent with developments elsewhere in the world and in the region, with policymakers acting with resolve to prevent the current acceleration in inflation from becoming a perpetual inflation spiral. The Bank of Namibia will continue to monitor these developments and their potential effects on the domestic economy and will act appropriately in line with its mandate to ensure price stability in the interest of sustainable economic development of the country.
Our next business story casts spotlight on the Central North Regional Electricity Distributor, which on Tuesday officially launched Phase 6 of its electrification project for the Umbili informal settlement at Otjowarongo. Our Otjowarongo-based correspondent Mulisa Simiasa files this report.
Speaking at the launch, SONORA Chief Executive Officer Robert Kahimise said Phase 6 will see the electrification of about 192 households in the informal settlements by a private contractor at the cost of 1.7 million Namibian dollars. He added that the project will be completed by the end of July this year, noting immediately after the completion next month, they will also electrify extra 100 households as they intend to electrify the entire Umbili settlement probably by this year. He said SONORA in 2020 electrified 140 houses in Umbili and 150 others in 2019. Kahimise promised to continue electrifying households in informal settlements of the Osodonjupa, Kunene, Omaheke, Oshikoto, and partly Omaheke regions where SONORA is tasked by government to distribute electricity services.
Stay tuned for your sportscast, but first, your economics roundup and the weather forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your Planet of Sports. I'm Selima Shimwefeleni Masipa. The football transfer market leads the segment. Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich are set to make a third offer worth £40 million for Liverpool forward Sadio Mane, Germany's Bild paper said on Tuesday. Bild said that the Munich leadership has approved the offer made up of a transfer fee of £35 million plus up to £5 million in add-ons. The report also said that the Senegal star has agreed personal terms of a 3-year contract with the German top side. The 30-year-old forward arrived at Liverpool in 2016 and his contract is until 2023. Bayern reportedly have had 2 lower offers for Mane rejected by Liverpool. Moving on to boxing, organizers on Tuesday said newly enshrined Hall of Fame boxer Floyd Mayweather will fight Japanese mixed martial arts star Mikuru Asakura in a September exhibition in Japan. The former welterweight world champion, who was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame on Sunday after retiring with an unbeaten 50-0 record, beat Dangerous Don Moore in an exhibition in Abu Dhabi last month. The date, venue and rules of his fight against 29-year-old featherweight Asakura will be announced later this month. Stand by for your sports roundup. And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's newscast. Thanks for watching. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe, like, share, and press the notifications bell to stay posted on the latest happenings locally and globally. From myself, Selima Shimwefeleni Masipa, and the entire production crew, it's good night.